Well, I've now done 2 videos about math and Minecraft and trying to visualize numbers using, these wonderful blocks. Hello, Mr. Polar Bear again. And there's another thing we can do as far as visualizing in math goes. I guess I should actually make all this beautiful scenery render. You know what? We should also go someplace else. Alright, we got this nice village over here. And now let's talk about math. So, one of the things we do in math, starting in algebra or maybe even pre-algebra, is we start talking about polynomials. And so I'll put a polynomial up here on the screen. Let's say that we've got x squared plus 2x plus 5. Well, that can be a little bit confusing, I guess, forever. Whenever we say we have 5, we mean that we have 5. Like, we literally have 5. When we say we have x, we're saying we have some number that we don't know. So I could make this be however long I want and imply that that's what x is. But what I'd really like to do is just pretend like this is an unknown quantity here, that this is however long this is what x is, but let's pretend like we don't know how long it is, even though obviously we could figure out what it is. Well, if 5 is represented just by single blocks, x is represented by a block as long as whatever x is, even though we don't know what x is, then what would x squared look like? Oh wait, I said 2x, so I need another one of these. And it would be the same size because we're saying we have 2 of the same thing, 2 x blocks, basically. Now we need to do x squared. And so what happens when you do x times x, or if we wanted to think of it like a number, like 2 times 2, this is where we can visualize like what I talked about in the kind of previous 2 videos of having perfect squares. So now what we have is a square that we can say is x by x. Yes, we know how big it actually is because we had to count so that we could make sure it was a square. But let's pretend we know. This is a square that's x by x, so we can represent it with an x squared. These 2 blocks are that same length, and there's 2 of them, so this is 2x. And then these 5 blocks represent that we know we literally have 5 of whatever we're talking about. So in this case, we're talking about blocks, right? So we have an unknown amount squared number of blocks. We have 2 unknown times an unknown number of squares, but then we're adding to that 5. So this is how we can visualize and represent polynomials. You may have actually done this, depending on how you first learned about polynomials. This is a visual way to represent polynomials. And so then what you can do is you can say, well, let's say we want to add 2 sets of polynomials together. Then we can visualize it in this way and actually just literally add them together. In some ways, I actually think it's kind of a boring thing to do, because let's say that we're going to add, for this x squared plus 2x plus 5, let's add x squared plus x squared plus 3x minus 2 to this, okay? So let me make another x squared. Wasn't that so much fun? So now I have x squared. I said that I was going to add 3x to that. Okay, so there's 3x. And then I think I actually said a minus 2. I said minus something. We'll go with minus 2. So the way we'd represent this would actually, one way would be to just use a different color and to know that that color actually means negative 2 instead of a positive 2. And so here's what's going to happen as we think about what these 2 polynomials are added together. We can add the x squareds together, because if I look at this, I could stack these on top of each other, or, just leave them next to each other and say, I have 2 of these x squared squares, right? For our x's, we have 2 plus 3 of these x blocks. So that means I have 5 x blocks. And then for these last blocks, the 5 and the -2, those add together like normal positive and negative numbers and give us a plus 3. What's happening there is that we actually could go through and say, okay, these two negatives are just going to take off these two positives. They cancel each other out. And so now we just have 3 left over. Okay, so that's the idea behind visualizing adding polynomials. You could do this with manipulatives, but if you can convince your, parents to let you do it in Minecraft, that's even better, right? There's also ways to do multiplying polynomials and show this, which I will try to do in another video soon. So if you like this video, I hope you'll actually put a like on it. That'd be super cool. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And yeah, I'll see you in another video. Thanks.